All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So we've got the HTC U11, the U Ultra, and the also famous U12 Plus right here in the center. And this video is just a quick discussion video. I don't know how quick I'll be, but this is a discussion video about the experience between these phones. Now, obviously, I had the HTC U Ultra first, and then got the U11 next, and now we are here with the U12 Plus. Now, this is more of an excitement factor and an experience. So, ironically enough, my excitement factor was really great between these two, meaning I was really pumped when getting these phones, these two right here, especially this one. This is my go-to until that SIM tray broke. I'm very tempted to buy another one of these, just get the red color again. However, the U12 Plus, using it, rocking with it, but I think is more along the lines I'm having to get used to the new HTC, meaning, you know, no fingerprint reader on the front. That I was kind of used to that. Having the thin bezels and everything is sweet, but the slipperiness is still there. So, you know, you got to put a skin on it if you want to. Unfortunately, couldn't find a skin for this one, but definitely found a skin for this one, which has been on there since day one. This one right here would definitely need a skin for me to use it a heck of a lot more, some grip, because currently I use it in the Poetic case right here, and I just don't take it out of there because of how fragile this phone is. But overall, the excitement factor, I found it to be a little bit more with these phones. Why, I don't know, and I think it's probably just because I'm getting used to this new thing from HTC. I was looking at an HTC 10 the other day, and I thought, wow, that was actually probably one of their best phones that they ever made. And I still believe that to this day. I know that, you know, technology says we have to go forward with what the companies do, but in all actuality, we still get a choice on what we want to say is the best. And if I had an HTC 10 sitting on this desk, I probably would favor that one more than all of these. But the U12 Plus is great. I mean, just the wow factor that I had with these two wore off really fast. You know, the price on this one released really high. The price on this one released almost perfect. And this one is $800. And I'm curious to find out how these are selling. Like, are people really kicking out the $800 price tag that they want for this phone? And that's for the 64 gig. It's $850 for the 128 gig. Now, that's not to say that the phone is bad and not worth that. You put the value on what you think something is worth something. You have to do that. The front cameras on this thing are great. It has 4 cameras. You've got 2 up front and 2 back here. It's IP68. You know, you got the Usonic headphones, which are absolutely great. You can get it unlocked to AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. You can't get it for Sprint for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe HTC was disappointed with the sales of this phone through Sprint, so they said no way, not again. I don't know, but it's just not available for Sprint. Other than that, you can use this probably on every other carrier in the US, possibly, you know, GSM, that is. You know, the Edge Sense on here, I don't even think I use it that much at all. And, you know, really this phone is good for just regular social media, browsing the web, and fantastic camera footage. That is just a must. If a phone doesn't have good cameras, I set it aside sometimes. If it doesn't have good battery, which this phone does have great battery, it's got all the latest and greatest, but somehow the wow factor for this phone is wearing off. I don't know what it is. These two phones right here, I couldn't put them down. I actually still use this one because the SIM tray is working. And this one right here, I do use it. I just use it for like video footage sometimes, for a second angle or something of that nature. But you know, this is still great. This could still be a great cameras on here for doing front-facing video if I didn't have an actual DSLR. And actually rear video too, I would use it for that too. Now, when I want to do some 4K, definitely whip out one of these phones right here because, well, my camera doesn't shoot in 4K. The SL2 doesn't shoot in 4K, but 4K is not at the top of my list anymore. And it's strange because this phone right here performs very well. Again, it's got all the latest and greatest specs that a person could want, pretty much. But I don't know what it is. Are you excited about your HTC U12? And you know what? It may be a deciding factor for me because look at all these phones I have, man. So and this is just the one sitting on my desk, but maybe that's what it is. I think if I only had one phone and it was just this phone and I didn't have the option to switch in and out, I would make it work and it would just be the greatest thing ever. However, sometimes having options isn't the best thing for some people. It becomes overwhelming and you get to a point where you can switch your SIM card in and out and you're just like, man, you start to like one phone more than the other. Two of my favorite phones right now is this phone and this phone. The Asus Zenfone 5 and the Galaxy Note 8. Those two phones right there are just two of my favorites. And I think the only reason it's two of my favorites is because this one right here, again, the SIM tray broke and, took it apart and it still won't work. HTC, if you're listening, I would appreciate if y'all would send me one of these. That would be great. And not charge me. Solar Red, by the way. But yeah, man, and an HTC 10 also. I really would like to get an HTC 10 back in here. That would be great, HTC. Anyway, I know that's a huge request, right? Like, Jay, you just gonna ask for two phones? Well, yeah, asking you should receive. So the HTC U12 cameras are great, man. Performance is great. Nothing about this phone is lacking at all. I don't have a problem with RAM management. There's just nothing. It's a great looking design. I don't like the slipperiness, which is why I keep it in a case. But other than that, man, the wow factor, like I said, it kind of wore off sooner than I thought it would. And the form factor on this is just fantastic, man. It's that 18:9 ratio or 19:9, whichever it is. You got the thin bezels at the top and bottom, if that's important to you. Really doesn't bother me at all, because this phone right here, I think it's a good size. It's a 5.5-inch display on here, but it's still got that 16:9 ratio, and it's just a good size phone. Screen is beautiful, cameras are great, everything about it is really good. The drawback though on the HTC devices period in this lineup is the recording capabilities. You still can only record for 6 minutes in 4K, whether it's 60 frames or 30 frames. It's just 6 minutes, which is really weird. And then if I switch it to full HD, 60 FPS, it'll just record until it heats up. These phones tend to heat up extremely fast for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why they heat up so fast when recording video. And it's not just a 4K at 60 FPS, it's just period. They heat up kind of fast. With all that being said, phone is fantastic. It's fantastic. Look how beautiful the screen is, the colors pop. Whether you think it's worth, some people ask me, is it worth $800? Is it worth $850? I can go get this, and this. Well, sometimes price can't be the deciding factor on a phone, because you might prefer a different operating systems over another. An example, the iPhones cost way more than this, but people buy them and they don't even think twice about it because they prefer iOS. However, I take a sip of my Gatorade. If you prefer HTC, then you're going to think that this is completely worth it. You're going to think this one is really worth it. And this one right now is really worth it. I mean, really worth it. I mean, it's great pricing on those. So if you like HTC, you're going to feel like the U12 is your only option in your next step. It's just like people who buy Samsung phones. You buy the Note 1, then you bought the 2, then you bought the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you're going to buy the 9. It's just, if you're into a certain OEM, you're going to support them no matter what. I've always been involved with HTC. Really think they have fantastic, phenomenal products. But I do hope one day that they can work a deal out with carriers and get these phones back on carriers. And that's probably what it is. The marketing for the HTC U12 is non-existent, only on social media. And there's a large amount of people that don't use social media. They still see commercials. They just see TV. They don't watch YouTube. They don't have Twitter. They don't have Instagram. They don't have all these social media apps. And they don't even have smartphones. If they do have a smartphone, it's probably an older smartphone. I know people that don't have social media accounts. They just don't have them. And it has nothing to do with their age either. They just don't have them. But that seems to be the way that companies are advertising now, but it's free. You can get free commercials pretty much. You can get the devices into hands of influencers, key influencers, and get them to promote the product for you for free. Well, some of us do it for free. Some people take a payout. Hey, that's your thing. Not gonna knock you. You take a payout, take your payout. Support your family any way you can. However, the HTC U12, I think, isn't getting that shake that it needs, is because there's not a lot of commercials for it. Every few minutes I see an Apple commercial and a Samsung commercial. Heck, even LG, I've seen some commercials. But the HTC commercials, though, how many of you guys have seen an HTC commercial at least 4 or 5 times a day? Probably not. And I'm not talking about on the internet. I'm talking about watching TV. I've never seen an HTC video on this phone or a commercial on this phone while I was watching TV. In turn, though, I've definitely seen tons of Samsung and Apple commercials and some LG commercials. Even Motorola has a lot of commercials. Very strange, man. Very strange. So, you know, the marketing thing goes behind these phones. You have to market it. You have to get it out there. You have to push it. And, you know, maybe they're selling well. Who knows? But the phone is phenomenal, man. It's phenomenal. It's just a shame that it doesn't get the light of day that it deserves in comparison to some other OEMs whose products don't function as well, don't have better cameras and things like that. So it's your man Jay Will. Quick updated video, about 45 days, almost, it was a little over 45 days, almost 2 months actually, with the phone. It's great. That wow factor, though, I haven't experienced it too much with this phone personally, even though I like it. I don't know what's going on. But there it is, man. Fantastic phone. Don't have any complaints about it at this point, except for that slipperiness. You know, I have to keep it in a case, you know, and that heating issue with recording. Just don't get it. That definitely should be able to get fixed in a software update, because there's plenty of other phones that have Snapdragon 845s in it, 835s that don't overheat when you record in an extended period of time. It's your man Jay Will. Leave a comment down below if you have the U12 Plus and you're still enjoying it. Take care.